Nice to see you all. Hello, hello. Hi, welcome, welcome. If you want to throw in the chat where you're joining us from while we just let folks in, that would be great. I'm sitting here in Seattle, and I think Jake is coming to us from Philly. Is that right, Jake?
That's right.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. DC, we've got Alina from DC. LA, amazing. All right, we've got some folks, other folks trickling in here. Tucson, nice. Another LA. Got some West Coasters. Awesome. All right, well, I will keep letting folks in. Another California folk. Keep letting folks in, but I'll get us started. I'm Alexis Hope. For those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the founders of Focus Space, kind of leading everything on the design side of the house over there. And we do these workshops with our partners and just interesting people that kind of bring us new ideas. And I think this is the first time we've had any workshop around teamwork and working. A lot of the times we focus on productivity strategies just sort of at the individual level, so I'm pretty excited to take a zoom out. And when Jake shared the topic of this workshop and was kind of framing it as like something that doesn't just help you if you lead teams, but even if you just work on one, you can still shift your team dynamics by using this tool. I thought that was amazing, because how many of us have had this experience where we're on a team and like we're not in charge of it, but the dynamics just aren't quite the best and we wish we could do something. Yeah, I see a laughing face. So I thought that part in particular would be like very appealing to folks. If you don't know what Focus Space is yet, I think a lot of you are members. I recognize a lot of you, but we are an accountability and goal setting community. We offer an app to help people track their goals every day, but really the core of what we do are these group focus sessions. We call them community sessions, where we have a host that guide people through sprints of work and restorative breaks. And then we also have morning planning calls, workshops like this, all kinds of things. And we have been around for about 5 years now, and our focus is really helping people protect space for deep work. So we have a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs in our community, and a lot of people that work kind of regular 9-to-5 jobs, but just really want a space of positivity and to feel like they have sort of coworkers that they actually enjoy working with. But Jake is going to talk to us about how to maybe enjoy our existing teams a little bit more. So with that, I'm going to pass it over Jake's way, and he's going to teach us about the green lens.
Perfect. Thank you, Alexis. It's great to be here with y'all. Oh yeah, and I can see some of your faces. Thanks for being here. I hope as the presentation continues, more and more people will feel courageous enough to come on video, because this is a tool that is used face-to-face. So we're going to have an opportunity to practice it. And yeah, I'm hoping to enroll you into the value of it. So by the time we're practicing, we'll have some folks willing to dance a little bit. But for now, I'm so excited for this. Thank you all for being here today. I'm really excited to share this material with you so that you can put it to use, right? Now more than ever, the world needs more people who know how to communicate and collaborate compassionately, respectfully. And this tool is one of the most profound ways I've come across that allows this to happen. So thank you for taking the time out of this Thursday to learn and play with me a little bit. As Alexis said, this is a tool designed for anyone who's on a team, whether you're in a leadership role or just a member of a team. And the purpose of our time together today is for you to gain this tool that you can use to cultivate trust, creativity, and collaboration within your team without having to work very hard to do it. Would that be okay if it was a little bit easier than it's been in the past? So before we dive in, I want you to just take a moment for yourself, write it down in your notebook. You can put it in the chat, come off mute, and just look. what would this make possible for you and your team? What interests you about gaining a tool to make this trust, creativity, and collaboration more easeful for the teams you're a part of? Great. Share more real-time feedback. Yep. Moving past old stuck patterns of judging. Yes, very well seen. Thank you, Alana.
Is it camera? Can we just go off mute as needed?
Yeah.
I wrote down it would improve our efficiency, but also the capacity for the full organization. I do a lot of remote work, so better teamwork and things like that would be just helpful when everyone's on the same page.
Love that. Efficiency and capacity, right? Those are very intimately related, and sometimes we get very focused on one at the expense of the other. Well seen. Awesome. Well, have folks keep looking, but thank you for sharing, Christopher, and everyone else in the chat. Let's dive into it. What we're looking at today is something empowering, something that sets the table for success. It creates an environment in which trust can emerge and be sustained. What does that mean? Trust emerges when someone has experienced, really has experienced that you see who they really are and that they have something to contribute. So we're going to break that down into 5 pieces that together we'll call the green lens, and I'll say more about that in a moment. Just to set the stage a little bit, as Alexis said, my name's Jake Pardee. I'm based in Philadelphia. I am a professionally certified coach through the International Coaching Federation, and I'm a course leader and a licensed academy trainer through the Academy for Coaching Excellence. That's where this principle and this tool that we're learning today come from. And I love to serve creative leaders who are navigating burnout, isolation, and overwhelm so that they can sustain their contributions to the better future that I believe we all deserve. And the leaders that I support, woo in the chat, thank you, Jesse. The leaders that I support have found this tool that we're looking at today, the green lens, to be transformational for themselves and for their teams. Using it consistently, right, building a level of skill, they're able to quickly create long-lasting trust. And I'm going to show you how you can make that happen. But before we look at the tool, we're going to look at a model for how our brain creates its own experience of reality. Okay, how our brain creates its own experience of reality. Let's just let that settle in for a second. I want you to consider this. You are not your brain. You have 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, a mouth, and a brain. You are greater than your brain. You have the ability to focus your thoughts and retrain your brain. So throughout this training, you're going to hear me say things like, your brain wants this, your brain hates that. And I want you to remember this. You are not your brain. Okay, just plant that seed in the garden bed. We'll see what comes from it. All right, so let's look at the model. Let me pull my slides up. Okay. Great. So this model comes from this model, the 4-box model, and the green lens tool were both created by my mentor, Dr. Maria Nemeth. She's a master certified coach, the founder of the Academy for Coaching Excellence, where I now lead courses. But she created this model out of her work in psychology and neuroscience. And in all of her creative brilliance, she named it the 4-box model. Unfortunately, we can't control our thoughts. If you think we can, Don't think about a hot fudge sundae. Don't think about the Oreo whipped cream on top. Don't think about the rainbow sprinkles. Okay, get the point. Now we're all getting hungry. What we do have control over is where we want our brain to focus. All right, let's say your consciousness is a big field. Your attention is a spotlight. And you can steer that spotlight. So the 4-box model shows us how we can take advantage of that, how we can use it. So we'll start with box 1, the conclusion. In the beginning, there was the conclusion. Okay, what do I mean by conclusion? A conclusion is a mental model that our brain creates in order to make sense of what's going on around us. Thoughts are conclusions, beliefs, opinions, right? Our brain hates uncertainty. And unfortunately, it's everywhere all the time. You might have noticed this. Things are constantly changing, and they're changing unpredictably. So our brains have adapted to create these conclusions that it can be certain about amidst the uncertainty of the world. People say that they form their mental models based on what's going on around them. And right now, for this training, I want you to consider that, in fact, our brain brings already existing conclusions into new situations. Okay, that's why conclusion is in box number 1, because we bring these with us into new situations. Okay, so if that's true, what does that mean for us? It's very important for our brain to know that its conclusions are correct. We've inherited this 100,000-year-old brain that hasn't changed very much in all that time. And back 100,000 years ago, when we didn't have fangs and we didn't have fur, we couldn't run very fast, one of the things that kept us alive was this big old brain that could create certainty about what was going on around it. The minute you have a conclusion about something, you can be certain about something, your brain will automatically collect evidence to prove that conclusion is correct. So box 2, we have evidence. Your brain works like a search engine. If you type into Google, birds are dinosaurs, you're only going to get results that birds are dinosaurs, right? Confirmation bias comes into play here. Our brain has a tendency to ignore facts that challenge our conclusions in favor of facts that confirm them, right? If you think about it, most arguments that we have with people are a battle between conclusions. What's the best bagel spot in the city? Which is the worst season of Love Island? Let's look at another example here. Christopher, let's say you and I work together, okay? You're sitting in the break room and enjoying a nice snack peacefully. I burst in the door in a huff, plop down next to you. I'm like, you're like, good morning, Jake. I'm like, yeah, you think? You're like, well, what's up? I'm like, what's up? It's Sylvia. She is the biggest micromanager I've ever met. She wants to drive me crazy. She's always peeking at my screen. She's asking me these little semantic questions about what I do. I don't think she likes me at all. And honestly, I think she's trying to get me to leave. Christopher knows I have a tendency to exaggerate a little bit. So he says, Jake, why don't you give Sylvia a chance? She's only been here 2 months. I don't think she's a micromanager. Maybe she just wants to get to know you and know how you work. What am I going to do next? I'm going to give Christopher even more evidence for why my conclusion is correct. Weren't you copied on that email yesterday? Did you see what she said to me? And were you in the staff meeting? Remember what she said in the staff meeting? I might even indulge in something we call CRS, can't remember stuff. And if I do encounter CRS, I'll go past it and indulge in MSU, making stuff up. Has anyone here ever made stuff up to win an argument? No, it's just me. Why do we do that? It's because our brain thinks that an attack on my conclusion is an attack on my survival. It thinks it's life and death. 100,000 years ago, we existed, we survived because we could effectively check out what was going on in order to find safety. Let's get in the time machine. Imagine we're all in the cave together 100,000 years ago. All right, I'm getting hungry, as you know I do. And I'm like, guys, let's go get some lunch. You're like, okay, Jake, we'll go get some lunch. We go from the safety of the cave out into the bright sunlight. What is the first thing that our brain is going to look for? Someone shout it out or put it in the chat.
A predator?
Predator, yes. Danger. What could go wrong? The people who survived, our ancestors, left us the inheritance of an anxious brain. The people whose brains weren't anxious enough didn't survive. So we have this brain that looks for threats before treats. This is negativity bias. You probably have encountered this before. We don't have time to get all the way into the neuroscience of it, but for now, let's just say the brains we've inherited see that a threat to my conclusion is a threat to my survival. Now, the evidence that we are present to has a direct effect on box number 3, how I behave. So go back to the break room. I'm talking to Christopher about how Sylvia is the biggest micromanager, how she really wants to force me out. And let's say Sylvia walks in and she sees me talking to Christopher, telling him about the staff meeting and the email and all the evidence that I have that she's a micromanager. Do I look happy in that moment? Do I look inviting? Do I look like someone you might want to have a chat with and get to know? No. Why not? Because my behavior is a consequence of the evidence that I've been gathering to prove my point to Christopher that Sylvia is a micromanager. And Sylvia walks in and sees me, and something happens. What happens is this: my behavior affects her behavior. How others behave is in box number 4. We, as people, are very sensitive to social cues. Have you noticed this? You can tell when someone is happy to see you, can't you? And you can tell when they're not, even if they're trying to cover it up. So Sylvia sees me in this moment. Maybe I'm lunging across the table at Christopher, showing him the receipts on my phone that prove Sylvia's a micromanager. And she says, you know what? Maybe now's not a good time. Maybe they want some privacy. Maybe Jake's going through something. So she turns around and leaves. And what do I say to Christopher? You see? This is what I'm talking about. This proves that Sylvia is a micromanager. She doesn't want me here. She doesn't want my ideas. I've just used her behavior to prove, again, my conclusion is correct. Round and round and round we go. It's not possible to change our behavior in the face of the same evidence. You know, I might say tomorrow I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say, okay, Sylvia is not a micromanager. She's not a micromanager. She's not a micromanager. The whole time, my brain is still focused on micromanager, micromanager, right? Eventually, something happens and I snap and I get even more attached to my conclusion. Like, I tried, I really tried, but I knew it all along. So let's look at a real story about myself, okay? Last month, my best friend Caitlin was visiting me here in Philadelphia for the first time. And parking in my neighborhood is a little bit tricky, but there's one long block nearby where there's no overnight parking restrictions. So I had her meet me at my place. I hopped in her car and then helped her find a parking spot. We found a spot right in front of one of those big U-shaped driveways outside of a big apartment building. And we nestled her car in, and it was a little bit past the curb, like blocking a little bit of the driveway. But I was like, it's just one night. I think we're going to be good. We'll be fine. Let's leave the car here. So the next day, walking her back to her car before she leaves on her way home, we're approaching the driveway, and I look up and I say, "Oh shit, Caitlin, the car's gone. The spot is empty." And my heart sinks. I feel so bad. I'm the one who told her to park there. I tell her to call the tow yard. I'm thinking about how I should probably pay for the tow because I'm the one who had her parked there. She actually had her car stolen last year. I'm like, this is going to do irreparable damage to our friendship. If you would have taken a picture of me in that moment, you would have seen someone crunched in a ball on the sidewalk, head in hands, shaking. Suddenly, I hear Caitlin say, "Here it is." I bolt upright, I look down the block, and I see Caitlin unlocking her car and throwing her bags in. We hadn't walked down far enough. It was the other end of the U-shaped driveway that she parked at. And of course, at that moment, my behavior totally changed because my conclusion changed and the evidence that I was present to changed. I had to laugh at myself and how dramatic I was being, and Caitlin was on her way in no time. Okay, so all of this is to say, to really change our behavior, we need something else to put here in box one. All right, let me take this slide down. I've just been shouting at you about your brains for about 20 minutes here. Any questions so far about the 4-box model that folks want to ask right now? Letting it sink in. Any reflections or takeaways on, we've got some folks saying I've had experiences like this. What's coming up that the 4-box model makes you see that you hadn't seen before?
I was just sort of reflecting on how I think we all love simple stories and narratives to explain the things that happen to us. And so when the details of something back up the story we've already written, it's just easier to continue that.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Exactly. It's easier. It takes less energy. And the whole point of the 4-box model is that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just what's happening. Right? So what I'm going to give you next is a tool that is designed to be plugged into box one so that it produces the results of your team working together with more trust and collaboration and creativity. Right? When people come to coaching, they usually know they want different results in their lives. And sometimes they already know that their behavior is what's causing those results. But the point of the 4-box model is if we want to change our behavior in box 3, the easiest place to start is box number 1. Where is our brain focusing? So one way to look at conclusions. Oh, Alexis, did you have something to share?
I think Jennifer had a hand up and maybe speaking, but I couldn't quite hear.
Yes, now I see it. My window is blocking it. Jennifer, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Alexis. So I was wondering if you can share a positive example, taking us through the
Yes.
flow, just so that I can put it here.
Perfect. That
And
is
if
the
it's
perfect
not, if it
question.
doesn't, okay, I was going to say, if it doesn't flow with your presentation, I can stay on and listen.
No.
Thank you.
Would you believe that is where we're going next? Okay, because it's natural, right? You see this and you're like, you've noticed what are the conclusions I've been gathering evidence for, and your brain first goes to the ones that haven't been working and are holding you back. Your brain is working exactly as it was designed to. So this is a tool to shift that intentionally, right? To disrupt it. So great question. I love that your attention is there. So one way that we can look at conclusions, what happens in box number 1, is that they're like lenses. They are a way of seeing things or people. Like, let's say we have me here. We've got another person here. We're going to put what we call the green lens in front of us. So we're seeing them through it. Okay. Now this lens, it's not really green. It's just blocking out every other color and only letting green in. You see how that's like a conclusion? I'm not looking at any other evidence. I'm only letting in evidence to prove my conclusion is correct. Get this slide back up here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Conclusions are like lenses, right? They filter out everything but the color that the lens is. So this tool, the green lens, is a way of looking at people that makes your presence empowering. You'll start collecting a certain kind of evidence about people that causes them to relax around you. And that relaxation is the beginning of trust. All right, so let's look at these 5 conclusions that comprise the green lens. Okay, and again, this tool was created by my mentor, Dr. Maria Nemeth, and she designed it by looking closely at the lives of inspirational leaders, people around whom others felt empowered, felt a sense of possibility and promise. And they're taken not from looking at how those leaders behaved, what they did, but specifically from looking at how they see people, the assumptions that they make about others. Or we can say, what was in box 1? So for each one of you, I know that you have people in your own life who have inspired you in some way. So as you hear me go through this, I want you to look at these qualities and see if you can connect them to some of the people who may have guided you along your hero's journey. Which brings us to conclusion number 1. This person is a hero, whole and complete. This person is a hero, whole and complete. And I'll share a link with you that has all these in them, so no need to write them down. The word hero here comes from the work of Joseph Campbell. He's a brilliant scholar. He wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. Joseph Campbell was actually a mentor to George Lucas, creator of Star Wars. And George Lucas said if it weren't for Joseph Campbell's mentoring, Star Wars never would have gotten off the ground. Incidentally, Star Wars is all about the hero and the hero's journey. But what Joseph Campbell said about the hero's journey is the extent to which you and I can see ourselves as heroes on our own journey is the extent to which we have a sense of meaning and possibility in our own lives. This person is a hero. They're on their hero's journey. So the next part, whole and complete. If you see someone this way, this means you see there's nothing wrong with the person that you're looking at. If they're not being successful, it's just because they haven't yet gained certain skill sets. It's not because they're missing something. Seeing someone in this way can be really powerful, right? There are people in my life, there might be some in yours as well, who can tell me things that are very difficult for me to hear, but they do it in a way that I still believe they see me like this. That I know they don't think anything's wrong with me. They're sharing something to support me on my hero's journey. This person is a hero, whole and complete. Number 2, this person has goals, dreams, and a desire to make a difference. Now, this one is inspired by Mother Teresa. In 1948, she opened up a mission to support the most impoverished people in Calcutta. She wanted to give these people the experience that someone saw they made a difference in their lives. If you can recognize that the person in front of you, just like you, has goals, dreams, that they want to make a difference, it's extremely empowering. There's a lot of research that shows when employees stay for a long period of time in a job, it's not necessarily because they're earning a lot of money. It's often because they see that their presence makes a difference, that they're relevant to what's going on. That's the main driver of their behavior. Knowing, or we can say, concluding in box 1, I make a difference here. So using the green lens, you can see them that way, which will naturally lead them to see themselves that way. Number 3, I'm going to go through all these and then get some thoughts and takeaways here. This person has their own answers. This is one that I really needed to hear when I was learning the green lens. This person has their own answers. Yes, thank you, Caroline. This comes from looking at the lives of teachers who are well known for working with students who excel. Many great teachers express this similar perspective, which is, I don't teach my students anything. I create the environment for them to learn on their own, for their own unique wisdom to emerge. Right? Learning an answer from a teacher can be really useful, but I've found, you may have experienced this too, having your own breakthrough is empowering on a much deeper level. So this conclusion supports another person to give themselves that experience, to really see that they have their own answers and maybe feel inspired to uncover them, right? Because just because the answer isn't clear in a given moment doesn't mean it's not there. But a lot of times it feels that way for the person who is struggling. Number 4, this is my personal favorite, so I'm really going to savor it. This person is contributing to me right now. This person is contributing to me right now. This one is closely related to number 2, goals, dreams, and a desire to make a difference. And it's taken from Nelson Mandela. His journey from student to revolutionary activist to political prisoner to president of South Africa is incredibly inspiring. However, his focus was never on being inspirational. It was on being inspired by each person he encountered. He did this so effectively that when he was imprisoned at Robben Island, they had to bring in new guards for him every 3 months because they started liking him and connecting with him as a person, which made it difficult to do their job, which was enforcing his incarceration. Literally across the bars of his cell, he made them feel they were a contribution to him. Showing up with this fourth conclusion means that in your presence, people know that they are contributing to me. They feel it. You see how powerful that might be? And you see how that might change, as Carolyn was pointing to, your own experience in the presence of someone that you find challenging. It's not asking yourself, is this person contributing to me? It's no, I've already decided that they are. All I have to do is see how. Finally, this person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. This one comes from the Dalai Lama, for whom everyone is the Buddha. The Buddha nature is in everyone, regardless of whether it's been consciously awakened or not. When you treat people this way, they will be inspired to treat others this way. So these are the 5 building blocks of trust, the 5 green lens conclusions. This person is a hero, whole and complete. They have goals, dreams, and a desire to make a difference. They have their own answers. They're contributing to me right now, and they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. I'm gonna pull this down so I can see your faces. I want to pause here before going on. Any questions about these conclusions? And if not, I'd love to hear your takeaways. What is this bringing up for you?
So I follow I don't know who created the chart, but it is a principle, motivations, and values kind of aspect of how people take into consideration their values, which if they're aligned with motivations, if they're aligned with the principles that speak to it. And really, I found it really interesting that all of these are all socially external values based on, or actions based on benevolence and universalism. I think like living with intentionally always being aware of these, it's hard work. It's like, and to your point earlier, it's like you have to stop yourself from having that conclusion. But I guess my question would be, if there was one word in the conclusion box to change it, what would that word be? Because if we're saying, if we start with the conclusion and we want to change the way that we view it, my head goes to hypothesis, but I don't know if you're like what your teaching was to tell us. Say that.
Great question, Christopher. First, I just want to point to, notice what happens if "this is hard work" is in box number 1. It's going to feel like hard work, guaranteed. So just notice that. What's true is it's a skill. And with any skill, practicing it is what makes it easier, right? This is a tool that's designed to retrain your brain away from how we are socialized to relate to people, which is often from a place of defensiveness or scarcity or protection, right? So each of these green lens conclusions is designed to be plugged into box 1. Take them one at a time. This person is contributing to me right now. But because you asked, I'll give you another really powerful, it's not one word, but it's 4 words. Nevertheless, I am willing. Being willing is a choice that we make. Right? You cannot know how to do something. You cannot want to do it. You can be annoyed that your coach suggested that you should do it, right? And still be willing to do it. Willing shifts your attention. Because that's the other thing about what you said. One of the reasons it feels like it's hard work is when you frame it as, I have to get rid of the other stuff in box one. All you have to do is notice what's there naturally. And once you've noticed it, first have compassion for your sweet brain for trying to protect you from getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? Once you've noticed it, just shift your attention. Swing the spotlight onto any of these 5 conclusions, or I am willing to be, and something that's important to you, right? Willing to be a loving family member, willing to be a contributor to my community. I'm willing to be financially successful, whatever it is, right? It nevertheless captures all of the things your brilliant brain might be doing in a given moment to try to keep you safe, and focuses your attention toward what is the action that will bring me closer to this thing that's important to me. So I don't know if that's the answer that you were looking for, but I hope it's useful given where your attention is. I love the question.
It's a very good answer, and it kind of just reminds me of a quote that I've been thinking of for the last few weeks, is that survival takes as much creativity as thriving, or thriving takes as much creativity as survival.
Ooh. Will you say it one more time?
Thriving takes as much creativity as surviving.
Wow, I love that. Right.
I love that too.
And when are we most creative? When we're able to relax and have some trust built with ourselves and with people that we're connecting with, right? Great. Well, let me pause again. Any other questions or reflections here before I send us into practicing the green lens?
I have one. First of all, I love this. I think it's just so beautiful and so powerful. And I think that it would, improve all kinds of interactions and relationships for like 99% of cases. But I'm wondering, so I guess, somebody who probably people would describe as quick to trust people and having rose-colored glasses and that sort of thing. So while I think that like for, 99% of the time, it's a good idea to assume good intent and whatnot, how do you kind of balance this type of mindset with still like the need for skepticism sometimes and self-protection and all of that? How do you help people navigate that?
Great question.
Having been burned before by my quick to trust nature, I'm very curious.
Yeah. Well, I love that your attention is there, Alexis, and it's a good reminder of what is the context that we are talking about using this tool in. This tool is designed to build trust and collaboration between you and people that you are working with, that you care about. This is an important point. Do not attempt to use this tool on someone who has traumatized you, on the President of the United States, on your least favorite politicians. That is not what it is designed for. Being able to see people like that through the green lens is a level of, that's Dalai Lama level stuff, right? The spiritual gravitas you have to have is far beyond my skill level. And I've been using the green lens for 5 years. If you want this to work, to start retraining your brain, use it with people you love, right? With people who maybe mildly annoy you from time to time. This tool isn't designed for you to lock it in front of your face and move through the world that way. It's something in your tool belt to be able to call on contextually to produce this result. It's not a magic bullet. Does that help a little bit?
Yes, super helpful. Yeah.
Great. Okay, well, I'm gonna invite folks into a challenge, but first, this tool is meant to be experienced. So I want to do that. So here's what we're gonna do. Go on gallery view, whatever you need to do to be able to see some other folks in this call. And I dropped the link to the green lens in the chat, but don't worry about it yet. You don't need the link. I'm gonna read the conclusions out for us. I want you to pick one person on your screen and just look at them. Doesn't matter if we're looking at the same people, just knowing that everyone is looking at someone. Just take a deep breath. Great. Now I'm going to read the 5 conclusions. I want you to keep looking at this person and just let them wash over you. Do you see that this person is a hero? Whole and complete. That they have goals, dreams, and a desire to make a difference. You see that this person has their own answers. That they're contributing to you right now. And that they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Keep looking at them through the green lens. Maybe just come off mute, shout it out. What is your experience right now? What do you feel?
I feel emotional.
Hmm.
I appreciated the invitation to take a deep breath. I think I was shallow breathing this entire time.
Yeah.
So that was a great start. And then a little confused at like, why do I want to cry?
Thank you, Jennifer. Who else? What was your experience?
It made me feel good. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, please, you go ahead.
I just said it made me feel really good to see somebody else in a positive way, unexpectedly. Like it felt mutually reinforcing. It was nice.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get to know everyone. Makes me feel that.
Yeah. Perfect. Anyone else?
I had a bit of a hard time. I was like, I don't know this person. Like the way of wanting to like personalize it in some way.
Mm-hmm. That's a great observation, right? It's like naturally, if it's someone you don't know personally, you don't already have a sense of what their hero's journey is, how they might be contributing to you. But just by focusing your attention there, you're likely to discover those things, right? It already starts training your brain towards those things. And what I also love about what you all just shared is like, regardless of how anyone else behaves, wouldn't it be great to just experience that for yourself in the teams that you work with, right? Nobody else even has to know the green lens exists. A lot of times when I introduce this tool, people are like, oh my gosh, I need to teach my whole team this, especially Jeffrey. And sure, I would love your whole team to be using the green lens. That would be wonderful. Bring me in, I'll lead a workshop. But the truth is, the power of this tool is that simply one person, you, using it can create a group level shift. Each one of us, a node in a group, right? So us showing up that way, it makes an impact beyond what we can really sense in the moment.
Looks like we have one more hand up with Anya.
Great, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I may be a little bit different because I felt that way already about everybody on the call. I could already see those things. So the challenge to me is I think that way about everybody I run into until they give me a reason to doubt it. So how do I bring myself back to that?
Mm.
That
Great
point
question.
of view.
Great question. Well, one thing about what you're saying is it's a probably very common hypothetical future situation, right? I'm not saying hypothetical it doesn't happen because I know it does happen. It's happened to me. But the green lens is designed to be used in a given moment. So if and when someone gives you evidence to support a different conclusion about them, something that's not on the green lens, the first thing you get to ask yourself is, am I willing to see this person through the green lens? Because as I was saying earlier, I'm not saying you should be willing to see everyone through the green lens. There's no should or shouldn't here. It's looking at, based on the context that we're in, the kind of working or personal relationship I want to have with this person, am I willing to notice there's evidence to the contrary and nevertheless shift my attention back to this person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, or whatever it is, whichever conclusion feels useful for you in that moment. But again, that's if and only if you see this is still someone I'm willing to practice using the green lens with. Over time, your brain naturally starts to do this. And as you're pointing to, Amulet, maybe your brain is you've already achieved a high degree of skill in seeing people in this way. The people you work with are lucky to be on teams with you. And I love this question. It's very normal to be thinking about, like, how will I know what to do in the future? We can trust future Amulet to know better in that moment than right now we can predict.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Anyone else? Any other questions or reflections to share? Great. Well, I dropped the green lens link in the chat. And if you're interested in practicing, I want to invite you into a 2-week green lens challenge. Okay? At least twice a day. Oh, did I freeze? I froze for a second. Am I back now? Cool. At least twice a day for the next 2 weeks, especially before important interactions, whether personal or professional. Just read the 5 green lens conclusions to yourself. At the end of the day, just write down what has gone well as a result of using this method. Just write it for yourself. You don't have to share this to anyone. If you want to share, I would love to hear. I'll share my contact information here in the chat. But yeah, I would love to connect with anyone who is practicing this tool, looking to upskill. And if you really do want Jeffrey to learn the green lens, I'm happy to lead a longer version of this workshop for a specific team that you're on. I'll drop my contact info in the chat, link to my calendar. But I really want to thank Alexis, the Focus Space team, and all of you who've shown up today, for yourself and for everyone that you interact with. Right? This is, as I said before, you now know what I mean. I just love knowing that more people in the world might be using the green lens and taking an hour of your Thursday to experiment with it. It's courageous, and I appreciate that you're all willing to dance with me here. So I'll put links together. Jennifer, do you have another question or thought?
Many thanks. I'm full of gratitude, Jake, for your presentation and your presentation style. I would like to ask for you to say it in a different way. What's the call to action with this link? I see a lot of things I don't know if it's because it's late in the day, but can you tell me again? Or
Yes.
us again? Like, what are you asking us to do?
Great. So are you talking about the green lens challenge that I mentioned? Great. So Alexis dropped the link in the chat again. I'll drop it once more. The challenge is every day for 2 weeks, I want you to twice a day read the 5 green lens conclusions to yourself. You don't have to do it verbally, but it does work best if you do it verbally. Why? Because if we just read them to ourselves inside our brain, guess what else is inside our brain? A whole lot of other stuff, a whole lot of negativity bias, a whole lot of other judgments about people. And when we speak it aloud or write it down, speaking it or writing it is recommended. It takes it out of being just conceptual and brings it into physical reality so that you can hear it or see it. So the challenge is twice a day for the next 2 weeks, read or write the 5 green lens conclusions and reflect what has worked as a result of doing this. What has my experience been? And I'm also sharing some links here to my calendar. If you want to tell me about your experience with the green lens, I would love to dive deeper into that with you as you build your skills. And I see Nicole's message coming late, the 5 conclusions. Yes, I can list them. I recommend watching the recording because they probably won't make much sense without. But once more, just to close on a high note, these are the 5 conclusions that you can see another person through. Okay, looking at a person in front of you, someone on your team, see this person is a hero, whole and complete. This person has goals, dreams, and a desire to make a difference. This person has their own answers. They are contributing to me right now, and they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Coral, do we have a question or a thought?
Yeah. I just been driving and I parked. I remember like years back, there was a time when like I found myself maybe like seeing someone out in public and like judging or something like that, and I would then remind myself, I'm like, you know what, there's somebody's like child, like they have a family, like somebody really loves them, and that made me like really just think about things a lot, like the person differently, and this like what you brought up reminded me of that. It's just like feeling, seeing the good in somebody and the potential, and like, there's somebody that they're human.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So I just wanted to share that.
That is perfect, Coral. That is so perfect because it's exactly the skill that we're talking about building here. The judgments come up. That's normal. It's when we judge ourselves for having judgments that we waste energy and end up not showing up the way we want to. So when you notice those thoughts, it's not how do I get rid of them? It's what can I shift my attention to? And for you in the past, it was this is someone's child or parent or brother, right? That shifting of the attention is what produces a different experience for you, different behavior. So they're only 5, but they're 5 that work really well. Ready-made conclusions for you to shift your attention to have that same experience. So that's exactly what you're speaking to. These are just some new tools to play with.
Yeah. And then I just had another question, like even the 5 that you went over, like one of the guys mentioned that like it was making him more curious about somebody, like they have goals and stuff. Like what happens if, like sometimes you're curious and you want to know people more, but people then have their guards up. And so like I feel like that's something that might come up with me, just like because I tend to be really like I want to be friends with people, and then that's what ends up making me feel like protect it a little bit. It's just
Yeah.
like I'm being so nice and I'm open, and then you know, kind of what I'm saying.
Totally. Yeah. So great question. So a few things. One is you can see someone through the green lens. Thank you, Amulet. Thanks for the question. Glad you were here. You can see someone through the green lens and have it affect your behavior and their behavior without ever speaking to them. And as Christopher's pointing to, if we get curious about people, especially when we see they have goals and dreams and desire to make a difference, you've probably experienced this. There are ways in which we can be curious that are compassionate, inviting, understanding, and make it easy for someone to share only what they want to, because they have their own answers of how much they'd like to share in that moment, right? So this tool, one thing it might be able to do is help in those moments you to be able to show up with curiosity in a way that is simply curiosity without any pressure or imposition on the person to share more than they feel comfortable with, right? Because, you know, seeing them through the green lens, they have their own answers of what's authentic to share. And regardless of if you find out the answer to what their goals and desires and dreams to make a difference are, you know they have them, right? So your own experience still is aligned with that result.
Yeah,
Great
so
question.
essentially it's like you don't need to know what they are. It's in you're just saying this in your head and just I don't
Yeah.
need to know the answer.
Hopefully, I hope that you always get to discover what they are. I hope everyone gives the opportunity, because that's my nature too, right? But you'll be well positioned to see if it's appropriate to ask and to do so in a way that makes it easy for the person to say yes or no to answering your question.
Thank you.
Yeah. God, what a great
Well, I
group.
think I think we're a little bit out of time now, but Jake, I just wanted to say thank you so much. That I feel like you just gave me a gift to kind of go through the rest of my week with having this in the back of my head, and I feel like a sign of a sense of lightness. So I really appreciate that, and thank you for joining us. For folks, I think most of you are members of Focus, but if you're not, there's a link where you can learn a little bit more about us. And if you do want to sign up and get stuff done with us, you can use my code there for a little extra first month discount. But thank you again, Jake, and we will get this recording out and send it in the newsletter. So yeah, thanks again. And I'll paste again Jake's contact information links as well, so you can find him.
Perfect.
Thank you all, everyone. See you.
Thanks, Alexis. Thanks, everyone.